welcome. I'm Teffera Gadamu. My guest, Dr. Timkehet Teffera, an ethnomusicologist, has extensively written on Ethiopian music and cultures. And only recently, her new book, Ethiopian Popular Music Through Political and Cultural Shifts, was published. In it, she traces the origins of the country's popular music back to the 15th century and details its evolution up until the mid-1970s. So, anything new? A very warm welcome to the program, Dr. Timkehet.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
So, let's get to the story with the definition of popular music. How do you explain that?
Well, popular music it could be defined as modern day music versus traditional music. So this is a kind of music that is developed through time and differs from traditional music. In Ethiopian context, popular music means Ethiopian melodies and Ethiopian identity in terms of music fused with foreign music elements and as well as foreign musical instruments. In most cases, it is Western music instruments that accompany.
And that's why you go back to the
music.
15th century, right? And that's why you go back to the 15th century?
Yeah,
That's
well,
when
the
the first
15th,
elements of foreign, yeah.
yes, yes. The 15th century is the period where we find the first written documents about an alien penetration to Ethiopia. So historically, it was the Portuguese who introduced the first musical instrument. It was an organ to Ethiopia during this period to the 15th century. It was the reign of Emperor Bede Mariam, who ruled Ethiopia from 1468 until 1478, about that time. And this organ was installed in one of the historical churches, the Atronza Mariam Church. I think that is in Wello. So the Portuguese also brought the monochord. It's a one-stringed instrument, as the ancestor of a harpsichord. All these situations at least reveals early interactions with alien musical instrument. Furthermore, it is also believed that the Portuguese, once again, might have probably brought a fretted clavichord. It's also another stringed instrument. Around 1520, during the reign, this time of Emperor Nible Dingil, so which was, however, lost in wars that occurred in the course of time. But documents also show that during the 17th century, again, Jesuit missionaries taught Ethiopians Western music under the reign of Susenyos, 1607, 1632, kind of. So this incident shows some kind of influence Ethiopian modern music or Ethiopian music had to endure. So Ethiopia's rich history included interactions with various cultures, integrating foreign music elements while maintaining, of course, its sovereignty, the Ethiopianness. That is the main identity. So foreign music influences blended into Ethiopian musical culture throughout the past centuries, hence contributing to its unique cultural or musical heritage. But Ethiopians have always welcomed and absorbed new phenomenon, but later on assimilated the new elements to make them kind of
Their own.
Ethiopian elements, having their own Ethiopian entity.
But in popular music actually got its present-day definition, present-day form as the 20th century. Is that a correct assessment?
Yes, it was exactly. It started, in fact, around the end of the 19th century, when Ethiopia gained global recognition after defeating Italy in 1896, I think, under the
Yep.
reign of Emperor Menelik. During this time, military brass bands introduced Western music trends, initially, of course, limited to the royal court, but their activity gradually expanded after this historic victory.
They marked the turning point, if you will, in Ethiopian
Yeah,
popular.
yeah. This was more or less the time when, for the first time, Russian figures such as Mashkov or Konolen, um, Stefanovich Leontiev played pivotal roles by bringing brass instruments to Ethiopia 1 year after the Adwa victory, namely in 1897. Important is, however, in the 20th century, Teferi Makonnen, Ras Teferi, later Haile Selassie, rose to prominence. By 1917, he formed the Imperial Bodyguard. That was for the first time,
Which was a very important addition. Yes.
Exactly, and a key process in modernizing Ethiopia's military.
But in the middle
Yeah,
also
but
you have
before
a foreign influence. You have the Armenian influence, right? Do we?
exactly the Armenian role in the Ethiopian modern music domain was really great, and it started around 1924 when Rastafari brought a marching band consisting of 40 Armenians. They were called Arba Lijoj. So the Armenians who were given land and additional support after they came. So by 1930, Teferi overcame all kinds of opposition and was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie. So the event featured Ethiopia's first national anthem composed by Kevork Nalbandian. Kevork was the leader of the 40 Armenians when they came into 1924 to Ethiopia. So this situation highlighted the role of music in proclaiming national pride.
The imperial bodyguard was an important element, as you said, in the evolution of Ethiopian popular music, of course.
Yeah.
But then there were other army bands, right? The police and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Later, you find these private bands, right?
Yeah.
Marching all over town.
Yeah.
And they also had an important
role.
These are the 1960s, right?
Yeah, it started around the 1960s. Although, I mean, we need to also to mention the Kanyo station.
Asmara.
Yeah, in Asmara, that was very significant for the cultivation of foreign music. In this case, U.S. Music,
Right.
because the GIs played a significant role in creating several bands on this station. At this station, it was a small cosmos with all facilities included.
This is an American-based
It was an
in
American
Asmara,
base
just in
with
the outskirts of Asmara, which
exactly.
closed in 1977, right?
Yeah, it also had a radio station that also broadcasted, among others, lots of new released songs and so on. That was to become a huge influence at a later time for the creation of private music bands and all the influences that were to be expected in this regard.
So
So the
mostly in
Kanyo
Addis Ababa,
station,
right?
yeah, because from Asmara downtown, from Kanyo station to downtown, from Asmara and Mitsawa downtown, the whole new wave of music gradually was introduced in Addis Ababa, So the landscape was changed, and the fact that later on Kanyo musicians started to perform music in Asmara nightclubs brought them closer to the local youth who also adored music and followed that wave. And the same happened also in Addis Ababa. So accordingly, around the late 1950s and early 1960s, Addis Ababa started to flourish. Nightlife started flourishing, featuring vibrant music scenes in clubs such as Shuferoj, Aksum Darash. So pioneering figures like Asagade Chalamiro supported artists to go and perform there. Musicians blended Ethiopian um, melodies with Western genres, creating a unique fusion. So Kanye was
And with
a
that,
key plank.
were born the towering figures in Ethiopian, modern music as we know it, right?
Exactly. With that, the first official private band was the Ras Band. That was stationed at the Ras Hotel, and at that time, the hotel names were taken to use for the band. So the
Right,
band
right, right.
represented that particular hotel, and in this way, new music, new versions, and music giants like Tafara Makonnen, my father,
You,
Bahru Zode, Bahru Tadla, Asafa, Avata, or the saxophonist Wadajena Filfilu, Allahu Nimar with his contrabass, Girma Bayene as vocalist, Bahata Gabrahiwat as vocalist. They
made
made a
waves
difference during
with the
that
Ras
time
Hotel.
and were catalysts for change.
Right.
After some time, when they moved, this group moved to the Gion Hotel, getting the name Gion Band.
Right.
The second Ras Hotel was created with young musicians like Girma Bayyana. He was among the first one who
He still is.
who
He still plays in some of the clubs in town.
كان يلقش كريسك راسيش سيدين عسكري اني باي بانش لو يمتي oh yeah
for me, beautiful moment to observe how this this person who created so many songs, a huge list of music repertoires for various vocalists. In particular, he was very close with Alamayo Shete. You remember I
Right.
wrote the biography of Alamayo Shete, and in this process, I realized that Garma Bayene did a lot of music for Alamayo, arrangement in terms
Right.
of
Right.
arrangement,
Right.
lyric, melody, and really instrumentation. This was a great musician.
ستملالشي كاكالاتي أرو مانغوليا يدلاشي مسيس ستبيعي ونجي بايني لايتس ألاو كمنا بدبري لاي
Just as a final note to our conversation, this is a very long and interesting conversation, but just as a final note, the publishers, the music producers from way back in the 60s, I'm thinking of people like these companies like Amaha Records and the Khalifas and so on.
Yeah, Amaha Records, Haifa Records, and Philips. These three are the catalysts of change at the same time. But the major role was played by Amaha Records, who started around 1969, and within about 6 years produced more than 200 singles and LPs. It was amazing what Amahashate did and contributed to the Ethiopian modern music. The other important figure is Ali Kaifa, the owner of Ali Tango. I'm very sad that he passed away very recently. He also played a very significant role, particularly after Amaha left the country or was forced to go to exile because he was unable to continue his work in Ethiopia after the after the Derg period. So Kaifa Records overtook almost as a single entity to continue producing music during that trying time, and also encouraging a lot of singers and musicians like Aster Aweke, Hamel Malabat, Nwai Debebe, and many, many more.
As
thank
the first
you.
guest for the Ethiopian New Year. And I wish
I'm
you
very
a
much
happy
humbled.
one.
Thank you so much, and wish you a happy, happy New Year.